On Sunday we heard words from Isaiah 40 and the glory of God being seen by everyone, that no one is missed out. I wonder if this passage was in John's mind as he started writing the opening of his Gospel. He reflects on the Word of God in creation and of light shining in the darkness. And he reflects on the fact that many didn't recognise him for who he was, but those who did became children of God, a family of faith. And then he writes, "And the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth." Here is an amazing testimony in reflecting on Jesus. We have seen that glory, John says, that same glory that Isaiah spoke of. Imagine how amazing John must have found that. But reading through it again, it's interesting the order that he writes this. That middle section tells us that the Word was in the world already, but not recognised, not received, even by his own. This reflects something that Jesus experienced, but also reflects the Old Testament story, and a very human story of Israel, like us, doing things our way and finding ourselves in captivity to sin and oppression. And so John concludes, "The Word became flesh and lived a while among us, so that we could see the glory of God among us, a real life example." May our eyes be opened to that glory as we draw close to Christmas and remember once again Jesus born in Bethlehem.
Jesus, the Word made flesh, glorious in holiness. Jesus, the Word made flesh, God's only Son. Jesus, the Word made flesh, glorious in holiness. Jesus, the Word made flesh, God's only Son. In times past, in different ways, we heard of one who was to come. Through the prophets to our fathers, we heard of him, God's only Son. In times past, in different ways, we heard of one who was to come. Through the prophets to our fathers, we heard of him, God's only Son, the heir of all creation, the wonderful Counselor, the root of Jesse, everlasting Father, the light of heaven, now clearly seen. the Word made flesh, God's only Son. We worship the Word made flesh, glorious in holiness. We worship the Word made flesh, God's only